r/NoStupidQuestions. Affily0s7 says, I saw that the average monthly payment for a car is $700. How can people afford that? I heard online that it's currently the average payment for a car and now it's more common than ever to get 1k payments. How in the hell are people affording that payment? Redetoxin says, only people I know buying new cars are people who are already well established and have all their other needs comfortably taken care of. Most people I know who struggle to pay their rent, let alone other bills, are buying used clunkers for like under 5k in cash and praying it doesn't break down. Unlucky Adeptness 744 says, this is the saddest part because the used cars break and need repairs that cost money. People I know with newer cars never ever have that problem. WFOMO says, my newest vehicle is a 2012 with 130k on it. The other one is a 2002 with 190k on it. People say, why drive an old car with all the repairs? Yet they have pay $700 a month for the option of having new? Even if you include normal maintenance, I don't spend $700 a year on either one. I'll gladly bite the bullet on a repair and still put money in the bank. Atomic_rad says, for a vast majority, poor financial decision making. Spending more than 5% gross or 10% net income is crazy. I doubt most of those people are making six figures. r/NoStupidQuestions. Blue Comments says, is ice cream cake just layers of ice cream piled together and marketed as cake, or does it actually use a cake that is baked with flour, milk, and eggs? Primeval says, no, usually there is a cake involved, although you can do ice cream cakes that are just gallon cuts frosted together with decorations. To many years working at British Rail as a kid. Helen Angel says, it depends on the person/company making it. Cold Stone Creamery tends to have cakes with layers of cake with ice cream on top as cupcakes as well. Dairy Queen has some cakes that are entirely ice cream. Baskin Robbins used to have the ability, I don't know if they still do, to order ice cream cakes with or without a cake layer. I had an ice cream cake made for a friend that was gluten-free as it was all gluten-free ice cream. So really it just depends on the place. TH3 Malitial Lambo says, I've seen both TBH. Archerophile says, a lot of people here are saying it's mixed with normal cake layers, but all the ice cream cakes I've ever had, which I believe have all come from Dairy Queen, have been entirely ice cream with decorations and a bit of whipped cream on the top. Pocket Buckle says, it's traditional cake alongside ice cream layers. r/NoStupidQuestions. Kirandax says, why did a lot of traditional male features, sideburns, moustache, vegetative cover, masculine coarse features, large nape, large forehead, etc. disappear from male standards of beauty and now are considered unattractive? What was the reason behind this shift in male beauty standards? Ricochet P Stream says, young adults don't want to look like their parents and want to be different, therefore fashions and beauty standards tend to rotate every few decades. I Have Hives with Bees says, the stereotypical image of masculinity has changed significantly. When I was younger, a vast majority of men were in blue-collar jobs, working some form of labor which required them to have what was a traditional strong physique, and a lot of your examples were considered fashionable amongst those groups, and was what you identified with men in general. In the last 30 years there has been a move to more educated, white-collar jobs, with a lot more people working less physical labor, and being office and productivity based. A lot of men started trying to emulate the man in a suit kind of look, and it became less fashionable to be physically dominating, and more of an approachable corporate look. Neither is better, fashions change, but a lot of it has to do with the kind of work which is more prevalent these days. Angry Blitzcrank Main says, Beauty standards shift all the time. Makeup, high heels, wigs used to be beauty standards. Having small penis was. Nothing is permanent. r/NoStupidQuestions. 28,404,736 says. Is it selfish of me to not want to see my grandparent with severe dementia? My granddad lives in another country to my parents and siblings. Over the past few years his dementia has progressed to severe. He has psychotic and violent episodes, and it breaks my heart to imagine. Because I didn't grow up in the same country, I only saw him a handful of times in real life. We spoke and kept in touch, of course. But he doesn't remember or recognize me. These days he doesn't even always recognize my mum. I haven't even really spoken to him on the phone in years, because he doesn't remember me. The last few times I tried it was uncomfortable for both of us, and with any of us family members he doesn't recognize, he gets anxious. Or angry. He's being told who we are, but he doesn't know, and I'm sure that's hard on him. I FaceTimed him when he was hospitalized, and we thought he mightn't have any time left, and he couldn't even recognize the phone in his face, let alone me, or even follow conversation. I'm going over to my home country later this year, but haven't arranged to visit him in a neighboring country. I'm feeling guilty, because I suppose I don't see the point in it. He won't recognize me, and it's more likely to distress him, and honestly I don't want to meet him in such a state when he wasn't suffering when we last met in person. Does that make me? Herbert Wigglesworth says. Not really, no. People with dementia can get to the stage where they are unrecognizable and simply a burden with everyone waiting for them to die. People don't like discussing euthanasia, but if I had debilitating dementia I'd want to go. Tea drinking guy says. I don't think it's necessarily selfish, but what I would argue is that you may regret your decision to not visit him in years to come. Even if you were to go with your mum for 10 minutes just to talk with him. People with dementia, even when they don't recognize somebody perfectly, do still generally have an awareness that the people are there because they care about them, and that could bring him some comfort too. Significant_277 says. No. Basically what Herbert said. If it makes you sad then just don't see them. Minute_profile_5522 says. Try asking this in r/relationships, they'd give better answers. It's now time for an unpaid shoutout. They didn't pay for this, but Sniper Elite 5 is an absolute banger. I love this game. If you don't want to drop the cash, try Sniper Elite 4. It's fantastic too. That's all. r/NoStupidQuestions. Ergonaut says. US military branches have different hierarchical systems. When personnel from different branches interact, is it complicated to figure out who salutes whom? Meanva says. No. NATO has standards. An army captain is O3 just like a navy lieutenant. You can check tables on Wikipedia before you meet people from another service. Dreadpirate_metalot says. The Navy is the only branch that the officers' ranks don't line up with other branches. Y0Mali says. Bold of you to assume they don't just flip each other the bird. There's a rivalry between the branches, sometimes friendly, sometimes not. Don't mess with Marines though, please don't. r/NoStupidQuestions. Trekortista101 says. How is every book a net bestseller? How does it work over at the New York Times when comes to bestsellers? It feels like every single book I come across, from cheap trash detective or romantic novels to the latest intellectually appreciated books, political biographies and self-help books. Every book is a bestseller. How does it work? How many sells makes it a bestseller? Mugen Hunt says. The New York Times has multiple lists of best-selling books that they keep track of, updating them every week. Everything from hardcover fiction, softcover fiction, hardcover non-fiction, children's books, young adult books, graphic novels are all tracked differently on different lists, making it easier for new releases to end up on at least one of them. Never Been Wrong Before says, every book you hear about is a bestseller. You only have to sell like a few tens of thousands of copies in the first few weeks to make the bestseller list. That's a lot for most books. But most people don't read most books. Every year literally over 1 million new books get published. Almost all of which are read by very few people. If a well-known author writes a book, it's basically guaranteed to make the bestseller list. For someone already famous, it's not that hard for them to make that many sales. It's just hard for anyone else to make that many. Curbinato says, there's a bunch of lists updated so frequently that most books worth talking about are going to have been on there at least once.